Welcome to Trying Times. My name's Carmen. If you're new here, we're best friends now. We're basically, that's it. You get no say in the matter. We're best friends. No, but in all seriousness, thank you for joining. Thank you for being here and sharing your time with me. Like I said, my name's Carmen, and the show's called Trying Times. If you're wondering what it's about, it's basically talking about a lot of the trying times that occur in our lives. This can be good, maybe not so great. It can be embarrassing. It can be emotional. It can be a lot of different things. And that's what I talk about on here. The last couple episodes, I'll be honest, I have started off on the subject of weather. What was that? Hopefully the mic didn't pick that up. I just heard the weirdest sound outside. I don't know what the heck that was. Anyways, like I was saying, the last couple of episodes, I have started off on the subject of weather or seasons. Talking a lot about how it's getting colder here. It is getting a lot colder, hence why I'm all bundled up. It's nice. I'm toasty. I'm cozy. I got my pillow, all the stuffies, the regular setup. But yeah, so like I said, I've been on a seasonal kick, and this episode is just going to play right off of that. So if you're into that, thank you. Stay tuned. And if you're not, I'm sorry. I'll catch you at the next episode, I guess. I'll see you then. But please stay if you'd like. No pressure. But yeah, stay. I'd love it if you stayed. Like I said, this episode is going to play off of that theme even more because this episode is going to be all about seasonal depression or the seasonal blues or seasonal affective disorder, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of different names for it. There's a whole lot of different terms. I'll kind of just share what this is. I don't really have a specific definition pulled up, but from what I can explain from my own experience and from talking to other people that have also talked about this and have experienced it themselves, seasonal depression, seasonal blues, seasonal affective disorder, SAD, if you will, basically is just that, SAD. We go through this bout of time, as you know, where we get less daylight, less time with the sun. Obviously, the sun is quite integral to energy levels, making us feel happy, and a lot of good different things that can occur in our bodies. Without that, and the gloominess really kicking into full gear and a lot more darkness, we don't feel great. We don't feel good all the time. We don't feel good a lot of the time, to be fair. So, funny enough, this upcoming weekend, when you're listening to or watching this, by the way, this is a video episode, so if you want to watch, feel free to tune in. By the time you are watching or listening to this, we've already gone through daylight savings, I believe, here in Toronto. So I believe we're losing an hour of time, an hour of daylight. So we technically are. Does that mean we're gaining an hour of sleep? Like an extra hour? Or we gain an extra hour, but we lose. All I know is when this happens in November, it means that it's darker for longer. We get less time with the sun. And then when it kicks back, whenever in spring, we technically lose an hour of sleep, but we get more daylight. So there's a pro and a con. Here, obviously, a pro is that we get more time to sleep. That's a big thing for everybody. But we also lose that extra time where we might be able to be outside and doing things. You can still be outside and do stuff, but like it's just not going to be sunny. It's not going to be bright outside. So obviously with that sort of a thing happening, we just don't feel great. We feel groggy. We might feel a little bit foggy, a little bit lazy. We're just, unmotivated. And that's not to say that we are lazy or unmotivated. It's just that it's a weird time of the year. And I feel this happens every single year. And I'll say this specifically. I think the way I look to it, at least, is like when I'm recording this right now, it's only really a couple days before Halloween. And I live for holidays. I feel like Halloween, like I said in the last episode, which if you haven't checked that out, please go check it out. Halloween is my favorite season. So having that, I have that to look forward to. In November, if you're in America, you get Thanksgiving, I believe. We already had that technically in October as well. So the next thing we have to look forward to is Christmas or New Year's. And then after that, I feel like it's just a lull. It's like 2 to 3 months of just darkness, gross, icky. That's usually when it peaks for me. I don't feel great, obviously, coming fresh out of summer, fall, and then it's dark. But at least I have something to look forward to. Whereas when the rest of the year, like we get New Year's and then everyone's like kind of on a kick where it's like, it's a new year, it's going to be good, motivational, which I don't want to divert heavily to a different subject, but like New Year's, I feel like with resolutions and stuff, people get really motivated. Me personally, I don't really like doing resolutions. I think I liked doing them when I was younger, and now I'm just like, if I'm going to make a goal of sorts, I'm going to do it throughout the year. I don't really care per se if it's January or if it's July or if it's October. I will start working on that when it when it happens or when I think of it or when I want to do it. So for me, I feel like January is just kind of like it's a fresh start, but also it's like, okay, it's dark all the time. It's not nice. So that's how I feel. That's how I would describe seasonal depression. Now, did I describe it well at all? Probably not. But I feel like the only way I can describe it is just that you might feel a little bit off. You probably don't feel as much like yourself or as energetic or as motivated because that's how I feel when I get it. And like it is in the name, seasonal depression or seasonal blues. Yeah, you just feel gloomy and gross. And that's it. That's the episode. But as I do in every episode, I like to share some sort of a scientific fact or a statistic of sorts. So for this, I actually do have one. And this will probably describe seasonal depression way better than what I just said and what I just tried to do. So here we go. By the way, I say this every time, but if you see me look down, it's because I have my laptop. So I'm reading off of that, okay? So for this episode and for this interesting fact specifically, I thought I would dive a little bit more into something that's a little basic, kind of like a staple that gives us more insight into why exactly it is that we experience this phenomena or what it is that we go through when we do, if you go through it. For those of us who do, if you don't experience seasonal depression or like it just doesn't really happen for you that way, that's amazing. But yeah, kind of like I said earlier, but in better terms, in some, the reason we might experience some depressive symptoms is due to the lack of sun that we get during the winter months, which then leads into a drop in serotonin. Basically, serotonin is referred to as the happy chemical in our brains. It plays a very big role in our mood and furthermore, everything else. Mood is connected, I feel, to everything. So if that's kind of through the floor, a lot of other things are too, especially emotions and then furthermore, our overall well-being. So that's what that means. Basically, that's what we go through when we go through it. I wish I just started off with that fact because I would have saved a lot of rambling, but thank you for sticking with me and being there. So yeah, for me, I like talking about this from my experience. I think I experience it in waves every year. I remember specifically when I was in university, it was like my first time living away from home. I was kind of a little bit like, I don't want to say lonely because I had a really cool support system around me, both at home and at school. But I just felt really like isolated. And I was like, what's going on? Like, it's not that I'm alone or that I feel lonely, but I feel very off and just like not good. I would isolate myself a lot more. I felt a lot more tired. I felt probably a handful of symptoms of depression also. And I genuinely did not know what seasonal depression was at that point in time. I was like 18, so I really honestly don't think I'd ever heard of the term, and I was like, what the heck is this? I feel so crappy. And I noticed that every year, because I was there for 4 years, I noticed every year it got progressively worse, but it wasn't all just like a consistent line of like, oh, I'm experiencing this exactly from like mid-October to April or whatever. It was like it would come in waves, usually in November, because obviously if you're going out, it's just cold. You don't really feel comfy being out. Like, I don't know, it just didn't feel fun for me. So there was that. And then it would happen again probably in like January, March. So it would happen in spurts. Like I'd be chill and then there were moments where it just got worse. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this? Why am I experiencing this? And I genuinely used to get concerned because I didn't know why that was happening until I just finally learned what the term was. I'm not someone who is particularly not a fan of cold weather. I actually do like the cold. I like that I can layer up. I like that I can wear comfy clothes. I like that I can be cozy and warm. And it gives me an excuse to drink a whole lot more hot chocolate, apple cider, all the hot drinks, to be fair. Like, it gives me an excuse to do all that stuff and bake a lot more. I feel like it just encourages my baking addiction. So I don't mind the cold. That's not the issue. But for me, what I noticed was the darkness. I did not like the darkness. That is what I think triggered a lot of it. And obviously, when you're in university or college or any sort of post-secondary or even in the workforce, if you're in either a night class or a night shift or what have you, and it's a cold, dreary month, you're probably already a little bit tired. And then on top of that, you're going to feel the effects of the fact that like you're stepping out and maybe it's only 5 p.m. and it's already pitch black outside. Or maybe, you know, you didn't have anything to do during the day. So the only time you are actually leaving the house is in the evening and it's dark. Or maybe you were busy the whole day and you were indoors either at work or at school or whatever. And the only time you can leave is in the afternoon or the evening. And by the time you leave, you get maybe 20 minutes of daylight. So I noticed something like that, I think. And that's kind of what started to spark it for me because I was like, oh my God, I was spending a lot of hours in class. Or if I had downtime during the day in the winter months, it wasn't so much that I had the energy to be out and doing stuff every single day or all the time while it was light outside. I was probably trying to catch up on sleep or studying or working on assignments. So when I did leave, it was often for class or for some sort of prior social thing that maybe was planned, or I don't know. But just leaving in the winter months, like in the evenings, I was like, oh, this stinks. This is the worst. So that's when I really noticed it for me. And again, like I said, I don't mind the cold, but it's the gloom. The gloom is what gets me. I don't mind a day of rain here or there. In fact, I appreciate a day of rain here or there because I get to read. If I have the time and the ability to be inside and enjoy that moment, I love it. When it rains on a weekend, that's the best feeling ever because I'm like, oh my God, cool. I just get to like cozy on up and read and do whatever it is I want to do. If it's snowing, it's a similar effect. If it's snowing, it's kind of pretty if you obviously don't have to be out walking in it or driving in it, because that's a very different experience. If you're sitting inside your house and you're just like cozy and then you can see the snow outside, you feel like you're in a giant snow globe and it's kind of amazing. It's kind of a beautiful experience. I like it. But when it's not that, then it's just gloomy and gross, in my opinion. Maybe that's negative to say. I don't know. But I feel like through years and years and years of just having experienced these symptoms and then maybe starting to open up and talk to friends about it, talk to like a therapist about it, and try to understand what's going on, talking to family about it, everyone had their own sort of experiences that they were able to share, which I really appreciated because I didn't feel as alone. I didn't feel like what's wrong with me or what's going on or maybe something's not good or I don't know. Like the first thing I find for myself and actually quite a few friends that I speak with as well is as soon as one thing's off or feeling a little bit bad, either you go to Google or you just immediately assume you're dying. I don't know what it is. And it's really the latter because if you don't go to Google, you just assume that it's really bad. And if you do go to Google and you search it up, never do that because it's going to tell you you're probably dying. And it's just bad. It's not a positive experience by any means, and nor is it productive. So, after having had conversations with those around me, I start to feel better. And I feel like through this, I was able to slowly start to implement somewhat of a protocol. I'm going to call it a protocol because it is still very much in the works. It's still very much growing as a list. And there are things that I'm really trying to do more and more every year to understand what can help. Off of the top of this list that I have written down here in front of me, though, I will say vitamin D. This in general, whether you take drops, little capsules, what have you, or, I don't know, take it in the form of juice, smoothie, whatever. This is basically like a staple for every winter or just fall, winter, spring, maybe a little bit. Or you could do it all year round, but this basically helps to boost what you're not receiving naturally. Again, we're not receiving much sunlight, if any at all, most days. So that is like a big thing I would recommend that I would say has helped me. And I honestly do this all year round. So I find it to be very helpful. The next thing I will say, and I say this for literally everything, so you're going to roll your eyes and you're going to be like, this is so annoying. We've heard you say this so many times, but I will say exercise. I say this for everything. And I'll be real, I've been very lazy with this lately, which is probably why I haven't been feeling great and it's starting to get darker and I'm not feeling really great on top of it. So I'm lying to myself when I say I'm on top of it because I'm not. I need to be more on top of it. I need to be doing this more. But I'm hoping for some reason that as soon as it starts to get darker, I'll get more motivation to start going to the gym because then I'm not going to want to be outside doing stuff. Nor is it going to be like nice and sunny and warm to want to walk around and do stuff. So I'm hoping I just start spending more time at the gym. Hoping. Maybe I will. I don't know yet. We'll see. But that is a big thing. Exercise does help. I've talked about this in many episodes before. There are so many different forms of exercise. There's so many different ways to go about it. If you want to go into a gym and use a bunch of weights or machines, by all means, go for it. If you want to go run, go run. If you want to try different classes, try different classes. I feel like the only way to really understand what you do like or what you don't like is by trying a bunch of stuff, because at least that's what's kind of helped me, I think, over the years. So I would say do that. And also, sometimes I will say doing a class of sorts is nice because it's a group setting. You don't feel as in your head. You're maybe able to focus, at least for me, I'm able to focus a little bit more on what I'm there for and what I'm doing as opposed to being in my head. Does it always help? Not 100%, but it helps like 90% of the time. So I would say those are some pretty good odds. And I would definitely recommend trying out some different classes or getting involved in some sort of an activity in general, which leads me into the next thing. I will specifically in like the darkest of dark months, I will try to see friends or do fun activities at least once a week. Does this mean this happens every week? No, absolutely not. Because realistically, that's a lot of weeks to plan for and it's a lot of things to do. And sometimes we just don't have the energy for that. It's a lot and that's okay. But so I will try to see friends, whether that is us going to the movies or going to a cafe or chilling at home and watching a movie or, I don't know, doing a craft of sorts, building a puzzle. I talk about puzzles on here a few times now, but like I love a puzzle. I'm not going to get into it again. I've already done this before. But doing anything is just nice. Or get together and bake something. Get together and order takeout or cook something together. There's so many different things you could do. Have a paint night. I think doing these sort of things and making sure you're keeping yourself in check and not just sort of like slouching into the gloom all of the time, at least not the whole week. It's like vital to have something like this because it just kind of functions as a pick me up and makes you feel a little bit excited for something, a little bit motivated if you're not already feeling the greatest. So that's a huge one. Going off of that, if you are somebody who is living maybe far away from home, or you are in a new place, or maybe you are in a different circumstance where you're not directly super close to where all of your friends and family might be. This goes also for having like long distance friends or family or what have you. I try to schedule calls with friends to have something to look forward to. And again, this is very similar to the previous thing I just mentioned of like trying to see friends or do fun activities once a week. But this sometimes can be a nice placeholder for that as well because it's a little bit less high stakes. And when it gets really bad out in terms of weather, like if it's like a snowstorm and it's not safe for you to be driving somewhere, but you want to like connect with someone and you want to catch up and just feel, not isolated, not lonely. I don't know. I feel like sometimes if you're motivated to talk, this is a great way to do that. And obviously, it doesn't put you at risk of being out and driving in like insane weather. So I will say that's a really, really good one. And I honestly do genuinely love doing that. Do I do this every week? No. But I do think it's sometimes nice. And also the whole thing of like scheduling, sometimes this works with certain friends and sometimes it doesn't work with other friends. If you're able to make it work, I think that's amazing. And sometimes it works out best to just be on the fly, where if your friend has time open up and you also just so happen to be chilling and like lounging around, then call, FaceTime, do something, hop on Zoom, I don't know, or do Google Meets. Hey, that's there too. I will add this. One of my friends, her and I love to watch different shows together. We love to watch different movies together. And we live maybe like half an hour away from one another. Neither of us are crazy about driving either. So it's not possible that we see each other like every week. We try to see each other once a month or just about every other month, which is still really, really good. And we always have the best time when we hang out. But to kind of stay on top of watching certain things together or maybe just enjoying each other's company, we will go on Google Meets and share our screens and like pull up YouTube videos or pull up shows or pull up movies or even music. Like we sometimes even have creative sessions where we'll plan out a bunch of stuff over Google Meets because there's no time limit like other platforms. But I think that's an amazing thing to do and it's fun and it kind of keeps you connected. And I don't know, sometimes when it's like just not nice weather, I find for myself, I'm either incredibly motivated to get out because I'm trying to force myself to be out of my comfort zone, or I feel 20 times more inclined to not leave the house. So yeah, either I feel very motivated to leave or I feel very motivated to not leave and stay inside and not do anything. So it's really the latter. And I find this is a good way to stay connected. It's something to look forward to. It's something fun. And it's a pick me up. Again, that's a huge thing. The last thing I will add that I kind of already mentioned is just drinking lots of warm drinks. A lot of tea. This is not particularly something that I'm like, oh my God, like this has helped me so much. Does it help with hydration? Yes, a little bit, but it's more so just that it's nice and you feel warm and cozy and it's good. And it's like, I don't know, sometimes doing those kinds of things for me or having those little moments for me where you're very present in your body or your surroundings by enjoying something can help to improve your mood. So I think that's a huge thing. And I didn't want to leave that out of my list. So yeah, those are just some of my remedies and integrations into my routine. I did want to take to Reddit to see what some other people said though. So I found an interesting post here. So bear with me. It's a very long post. I will be reading for a while and then I'm going to share some of what some people said. So this person had posted and they said, sad free for 4 years. Here's what works for me. Has anybody else managed to beat it? Which may I add before I get into this post, being free of seasonal depression, seasonal blues, seasonal affective disorder, whatever, for 4 years is like a dream. So I got really excited when I found this post. Here's what they wrote. First, a bit of background. I grew up in the Shetland Islands, which is pretty close to Scandinavia and suffers from pretty short days and low sunlight levels in winter. My SAD kicked in badly when I was about 14, 15, left me clinically depressed, wrecked my academic, and left me generally exhausted, miserable, and constantly overthinking from September through to February. After 3 or 4 years, my mom happened to read an article about SAD, and she realized that I only experienced my periods of depression during winter. So I got a light box, which is a huge thing I've actually heard good things about. For the next 20 years or so, I would have a light box on my desk at work that I would use. I would switch it on 9 a.m. and use it for the entire morning, if not the entire day. This helped to some degree, as did moving further south to mainland UK. I was still constantly tired in the winter, though, and prone to rumination and my brain latching onto negative events. Long story short, my SAD was and still would be quite severe if left untreated. Okay. About 5 winters ago, I tried using vitamin D and taking 125 micrograms daily, and that seemed to really help the first winter. To the degree I got away without using light therapy, the following winter I was dealing with the aftermath of a bad relationship breakup. I didn't use light therapy, the vitamin D did not help, and I went through one of the worst winters of my entire life for depression and overthinking. It was 5 months of unrelenting hell. The year after that, I decided I would never let myself go through anything like that ever again, and I made the following changes. 1. I switched from using a light box at work, maybe 2 hours after getting up, to a pair of light therapy glasses I could put on as soon as I woke up, so I could potter about my morning routine instead of being tied to a desk. Light therapy is most effective the sooner you start it after waking. One of Andrew Huberman's very first podcasts about sleep quality delves into body clocks and hormones stimulated by the blue spectrum light at dawn and dusk, and has a lot of information that is helpful in understanding SAD better. I should check that out. Actually, maybe we should all check that out. I've now shifted my thinking away from thinking of it as a lack of sunlight in winter and towards using light therapy to reset my body clock every day as something more akin to a form of jet lag even, that's interesting actually. I believe it's starting the light therapy earlier in the morning that made my primary difference. The glasses just make light therapy a lot more convenient to stick to, as I was never able to make myself get up even earlier in winter to sit at a cold desk in front of a light box when I was already struggling to get up at my usual time. Number 2, I continue to take 125 micrograms of vitamin D daily. I actually take it all year round. Oh my God, twins. So maybe that's a thing that we all need to be doing. 3, and this is the final point they made, up until this point, I always started light therapy when I started to feel SAD symptoms creeping in, but now I start light therapy before my symptoms do. My SAD symptoms start mid to late September, so now I start my light therapy without fail on September 1st every year. I also keep fairly fit and exercise regularly, walking, running, weights, and I'm happy to say that the last 4 years, I've been completely symptom-free. So 2 things. Firstly, I hope this information is helpful to some other SAD sufferers out there. If I can answer any questions anybody has, I'll be happy to. Secondly, I don't think I've ever encountered anybody else with severe SAD who have reported being able to beat it. My new routine is very simple, but it has been life-changing for me, despite my SAD being fairly severe. Are there any other success stories out there? They also then shared the brand of light therapy glasses they have. So yeah, that's the post. And I will say there's a whole lot of comments under this, a lot of which was super supportive and very positive. And I just thought it was so nice to go through and see people being so, just, I don't know, collective as a unit and like very much willing to share their experiences and also share what maybe did or did not work for them. I'm not going to read through every single comment. I did sum up kind of some of the things that I saw. So some things that people mentioned in the thread that helps them is someone said visiting a conservatory, which I think is such a good idea. I don't know why I've never thought to do this. I've only ever visited conservatories in quite literally every season besides winter. So maybe this is something I'll try to do this year, but I could see how that would be a really nice thing to do and also put you in a very like just peaceful and I don't know, nice environment for that time of year. Someone else recommended a few vitamins that work for them, such as vitamin D, again, solid, St. John's wort, ashwagandha, or omega-3. Please be advised they do not work the same for everyone. Please do your own research, maybe even talk to your doctor or a naturopath about this. I add that little discretion in there because I have talked to doctors and the naturopath that I see about these different things before taking any of them myself. Everybody has adverse reactions to really everything. Not everyone's the same. So I will say, as much as you do research without talking to someone about it, until you try, you don't really know how you'll react. And sometimes it can be amazing. It can be a huge help. It can be positive. Other times it may not be so much. So just please be very careful with that when you're doing your research and trying different things. Just be mindful. Also, don't get upset if something works for a lot of people and it doesn't work for you. I've had that happen with supplements before, and it is what it is. Finally, somebody else suggested limiting your caffeine intake because this can be a lot in the sense that it can make you potentially anxious and so forth. I will share this from my perspective also. I no longer drink coffee. I actually stopped drinking coffee probably like about 3 or 4 years ago. I'm no stranger to holiday drinks though. If I do ever choose to get one, which I usually do a couple times a year, I will go decaf, and I still feel like that makes me feel very jittery and not good. My body reacts to it in a very strange way. So yeah, it doesn't help me. I usually get like a headache and I just don't feel good with that. So please be careful when you have your caffeine, even if you're someone that like is super reliant on it or maybe has a stronger tolerance. Just be mindful of that. If you're someone like me who does not like drinking coffee or maybe doesn't react great to it, I'll suggest green tea or matcha. I love me chai, cha. I have that regularly. Some days I won't have it just to like balance the caffeine intake, or just different herbal teas. Honestly, really, there's so many different things to try out there that may or may not be good for you. So, yeah, just honestly, I think the biggest thing I can take away from this whole episode is just really doing your research and experimenting with what does and does not help you. Because it's a long time that we get darkness where we get, I don't know, here at least I feel like we have this for October, November, December, January, February, March, maybe a bit of April. So 6 to 7 months of just gloom. And that's a whole lot of time in our lives that we experience that over and over and over again. So I would say to very carefully and mindfully take time out for yourself to do some research, to understand what you do and don't like, and have like a trial period of things of like, oh, maybe I want to try this and see how it feels after like 2 weeks. Do I feel any better? Do I feel a difference? Do I feel worse? And just doing that kind of thing, because that's honestly what I did to figure out the few things that have helped me so far. So yeah, I've ranted a lot about this, especially about the weather, as I always do. I don't know why that's becoming the thing. Like I said, I aired myself on the last episode. I'm like, I check my weather up way too much. So yeah, that's it for this episode. I have rambled a lot. I appreciate you for listening and being here and sharing your time with me. If you're still here, thank you so much. If you tapped out earlier, I get it. That's okay. No, but seriously, thank you for being here and listening. I appreciate you. And I hope to chat with you soon. If you want to reach out and talk about this topic or anything else, or if there's something you'd like to hear about, please feel free to message me on Instagram at the Trying Times Podcast. And I'd be happy to chat. So yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And I hope you have an amazing day, night, whenever you're listening to this. So yeah, we'll chat again soon, okay? Bye.